The reason it looks so rigid is because you've never tried to change it. And the only way to change it, to modify it, is to modify your way of perceiving and thinking. We start modifying by listening. And then the listening becomes more internalized. And before we speak, we hear the thought. And then that gets fun. It used to be that a thought was such a thing that, flittered by so fast you couldn't catch it. And the more aware you get, the more it slows down, A little speck of lightning becomes a butterfly, becomes something slow, a slug. And pretty soon you can grab a thought and go, what? You said what? And then you begin to understand the weight and the substance of it. Something that has no substance. You feel the density of it. Because of this thought that I just caught and I looked at and I considered for a minute, I'm modifying 1,000,000 of its relatives. The minute I catch it and look at it and say, that's not true. That little thought that went, ever so quickly and ever so slowly through my mind, it's not true. And all the relatives it was supporting, all those like thoughts, all those like prejudices and biases and fears, they fall apart. And that's why I say, when you start taking the bricks and mortar away from this rigid structure that is you take down an entire civilization. Because right now you have no idea what's related to one of your thoughts. There's a belief supporting it that supports 1,000,000 others. And you don't have to know what those millions of others are. Just catch one thought and say, I don't think so.
What does it mean that I don't have to be me?
Yes, really what we're taking a look at when we begin this process of evolution is the psyche. And the psyche has created an image called me. But me is the central figure of this whole virtual reality that you create within your mind. It's the central character. And the central character does certain things, likes certain things, doesn't like other things, and we continue a patterning all through our life based on the way we imagine the central character of our dream, let's say, as being. All your life you've been getting little tidbits of truth. But to make that sense of truth permanent in you, it's necessary to go back and look at the lie of you, which is everything you've thought yourself to be up until now. And it may seem like the hard way, but it's the permanent way.
Okay. And how long does this take?
As long as you want it to take, Usually, people begin to understand who's talking when they're open their mouths and speak, who's thinking when they're, in a thought process or preoccupation. They begin to understand it like a year or two into this teaching. They begin to really get the sensation of who's talking and who's telling stories and who's directing the human being. And after that, it becomes a fun adventure of revelation. So, it never ends. It's sort of like what we do with our lives. When we begin to realize that nothing else we've done with our lives really makes us permanently happy. It doesn't matter how long it takes.